Check, check. Good morning. Good morning, friends. Good morning, good morning. Welcome here to UU Mount Airy. I'm Reverend McKinley Sims. I use he, him pronouns. It is so good to be together today. We are so excited to co-lead the service. Remember, if you're going to come sit. Sit. We've been having to talk about if you're going to be up here, you have to sit. You can't be walking around. We are so excited to be offering this service that is about forgiveness and taking care of yourself. Thank you. I will tell them what that is later. Yes, sir. We have words of wisdom from Janet Mason, who is helping co-lead the service. And you've already heard from the wonderful Ann Arfa, who's going to be providing music today. Can we give Ann a big hand? And Connor Sheehan, who's behind the curtain helping with our AV today. Thank you, Connor. And thank you to everyone who is joining us online, thanks to that tech support. If you are joining us online, if you're watching on Zoom, you can use the closed captions button to get closed captions to hear what we're saying a little bit better here in the sanctuary. And if you are on Zoom, you can use the chat function to share your joys and sorrows or to react or tell us what's going on in your life and interact with this service more fully. If you're watching us on YouTube or something else that's less interactive and you want to join the Zoom call that happens every week, the information for that is in our e-newsletter that you can sign up for at our website. If this is your first time with us, we ask you to go ahead and silence any cell phones, like I need to do. And if you are in need of a restroom, they are at the rear of the sanctuary, down the stairs to your right, or the handicap accessible lift to your left. And because we are live streaming when we do our joys and sorrows in the middle of the service, we invite you to come up here and drop a stone in the bowl of water and to share something if you would like to. But please know that we are recording the service. It's not just us here in the sanctuary. And if that's an issue for you, I can bring you a microphone. As we talk about what it means to forgive ourselves and each other, to take care of our brains and take care of ourselves, we're going to have a contemplative service with space for stillness and silence. We will hear words of inspiration from different sources, and we will make space and time to be together. So invite us into this space this morning, closing your eyes, setting your feet on the floor, finding yourself present here in this space, here and now. And as you are willing and able, we're going to take a nice, easy breath together. Would you breathe in with me? And out. When we focus on our breath, we are present here in this moment, and it is good to be together in this moment this morning. We're going to start our service with the lighting of our chalice, and I've got one of my helpers here. So if any other RE kids want to come up and light our chalice, we are going to light the words from an anonymous author. I'm going to light a chalice here in the sanctuary. If you're at home and you have a candle that you want to light with us, please do so, as I and our junior worship associates light our chalice here in the sanctuary. Would you read these words with me? We light this chalice. You know? Good job. Our opening hymn is somewhat of a call and response. It's hymn number 1037 in the teal hymnal. So I'm going to invite us to rise in body or in spirit. Anne is going to help lead us on the piano. So there is a sung responsive phrase that says, we forgive ourselves and each other, we begin again in love. So the way it works is that we're going to sing it through once together. You can see the lyrics on the screen. Then I'm going to say a few things, and then we're going to sing. And then I'm going to say a few things, and then we're going to sing. I'm going to say a few things, and we're going to sing. So I have three sections to say, and we're going to sing the refrain in between each time. Make sense? If you're new here, you'll pick it up. And can we hear it, please? For each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible, for each time that we have struck out in anger without just cause, for each time that our greed has blinded us to the needs of others. Forgive ourselves. For remaining silent when a single voice would have made a difference, for the selfishness which sets us apart and alone, for losing sight of our unity. For those and for so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled the illusion of separateness, we remember that. Thank you, Anne. You may be seated. We're going to move deeper into our service. The mission of this congregation is to build beloved community by embracing all souls and nurturing wholeness. And one of the ways that we do that is through the sharing of joys and sorrows. If you have not been to a UU congregation before, you may not have seen this. But if you are wanting to participate, you can do so in a few ways. One, you can sit there in the pews and just listen. But if you are feeling moved or called to come up by the side aisle, grab a stone from this basket here at the front of the sanctuary and take a second to just check in with yourself and say, "Ooh, what am I feeling? What am I holding this week? Who am I thinking about, praying for, sending good energy or love towards?" And drop that stone into the bowl of water that symbolizes this community and how we hold one another, how we practice being human together. If there's something especially pressing that you would like to share, something you're feeling, someone that you're thinking about, and you want to share with everyone else, you can talk right into this microphone. Tell us your name, what you're feeling, who you're thinking about, and we might hold them together. Friends who are online, if you want to use the Zoom chat function to share your joys and sorrows and let us know if you would like them shared out loud, we will drop stones into the bowl on your behalf. We'll listen to some meditative music from Anne, and we'll come together for a small moment of reflection afterwards. Come, whoever you are, the table of joys and sorrows is open.
Bernadette, I feel like this service was made for me because this week I've spent myself forgiving myself. As you all know, my life has kind of been busy for the past several years, and I've been remiss about taking care of myself. So I went to my new PCP this week, and I have a high blood pressure. So I spent a lot of time forgiving myself, and I'm going to begin taking care of myself again in love. And I would remind everyone, if you're not up to date on your wellness surveillance, please take care of yourself too.
Hi, my name is Anam. It is interesting, just like Bernadette just mentioned. I feel like in some ways this service was meant for me. Been going through a lot of changes and a lot of forgiving of myself, forgiving of others, and I've been spending a lot of time in meditation and in contemplation, and really continuing to learn more and more about myself. and as far as a sorrow, specific sorrow and a specific joy goes, my sorrow is I won't be here next week because as joy, I'm going to be on Star Island for the first time. I'm very excited.
Hi, I'm Jane, and my sorrow this week is about Haiti, the Haitian people who are in the United States, who really, it's like adultery, what they're doing to the Haitian community, dividing families. So please just keep the Haitian community in your hearts, and the Syrian community too, and hope that there's some way to extend their protected status. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Linda. My joy is that I have my friend Princess here with me again today. And sorrow, I'm thinking of all the people in Canada, Native communities, First Nations communities that have lost their entire villages, and just sending love to them. And another joy is that I spent last weekend with some dear friends down in the Brandywine Valley. And these are friends I've known for almost 50 years. And we were talking a lot about how special it is to have long-term friends. I won't say old friends, even though we are getting old, but long-term friends.
Hi, I'm Sandy. I'm a member here, and I want to thank the people who gave me my, I guess it was probably meant for my ninth, the next step in my life, and I don't know why, but it took me by surprise, to tell you the truth, when I reached this age, and we had a little get together yesterday with some people, and thank you, Fern, for taking me there, and others who came, and for those who couldn't come, and there are always good reasons, and there were some very good reasons not to come yesterday because there other things were better. Anyway, I just want to, and oh yes, and definitely for you. Okay, for thinking of this up, and I was very pleased. Okay, I would like to ask if somebody, and I'm telling you, Bruce, I want to attend the Justice book discussion on Common Ground, because that is a book that's a favorite of mine, and I don't have any way of doing it. If there's anybody who can take me to a place where I can get that, I would be very grateful to hear from them. Okay? Thank you.
I'm Kathy, and I'm grateful for the well-being of my brother and my sister, who I saw last week. David came through his neurosurgery and a cervical spine very well. We won't know the extent of the healing for 6 to 12 months, but his immediate recovery is really wonderful. And I got to see that he's finally feeling at home in his new living situation a year later. And my sister moved yesterday, sending sisterly love to her. She went really badly yesterday, so badly that she couldn't talk about it this morning. But I think that she got a truckload of stuff to her new home on Cape Cod, and the people who were supposed to help unload were a no-show. So I think she was stuck with the sofa in the rain, and so she will have a beautiful new home eventually. My other joy is working with our new architect and contractor and our renovations team. Everybody is really a joy to work with, and we'll have information after the service for anyone who'd like to hear more about it.
Hi, my name is Bruce. First of all, I wanted to thank all the folks who have already arranged to come to the evidentiary hearing for Terry Williams that was on the calendar over there. Who knows what will happen, but it means a lot to him to have a lot of support. Second of all, a couple days ago, I was listening to the radio, and I heard mention of the Gene Smith, on WHYY, the Gene Smith Band, which is the new band that Jamie's been playing with for the last year. They're playing at the Falzer. We're going to see that this afternoon, so that was very exciting to hear that publicity. And he's actually performing twice today because there was something supposed to happen yesterday that got rain delayed until today, so he's got a very full plate for himself.
I want to thank Susan and Ethan for taking our donated bikes to the bike co-op in West Philly. That was a big help because that liberates space in our garage because we're going to need space to store stuff from the house. And anyway, talk to me later. Thank you, Susan and Ethan.
Good morning. I wanted to just piggyback a little bit on what Sandy said. This was just a small group of us, Linda Hansel, Fern, and of course, Sandy and me. And I wanted to talk about it just for a second because there was a little boy sitting at a table. Of course, not by himself, being a little boy. I forgot to put my son in. He looked to be maybe about 4 years old, this beautiful little boy, like Griffin. Anyway, Linda, we sang Happy Birthday, and Linda asked this little boy, how old do you think she is? And he said, 15.
Thank you. We're going to drop a final stone into the bowl for all those joys and sorrows not spoken out loud but held in the quiet of our hearts. Then I'm going to lead us in a moment of stillness. I'm going to invite us to close our eyes one more time. Focus your attention on your breath for just a moment. And then I want us to be as still as possible, even with the sounds of children or birds or the air conditioner or electronics moving around us. Try to pay attention to nothing but your breath flowing in and out. As you breathe in, imagine a peace, the antidote for what ails us in this world coming into your body, filling your lungs and your heart and your mind. And as you breathe out, imagine love being poured out into the world to transform it and you. We'll do that a few more times. Imagine breathing in peace. And breathing out love. love. Now we'll take just a few minutes to find ourselves back in the room. Breathe in peace and breathe out love as many times as you need to today. Janet, we're going to do our offering real quick. Yeah, we're going to do the offering now. So let me do my little spiel
Good
about
morning, everybody. While we're doing the offering, I will be singing Breathe, You Are Alive, and it's composed by Sister Annabelle Laity, who's one of the major teachers in Thich Nhat Hanh's tradition. So here I go.
So when we do our offering here, you can start passing the plates. I'll explain it as we go. It goes to two different places if you're new here. Anything that you put into the white envelopes that are in your pews that you can mark change for change, and any pocket change that you put into the plates that are being passed around here in the sanctuary goes towards a different social justice organization each month. For the 2 months of the summer, it is Al Bustan Seeds of Culture. There's more info on the screen behind me and in your order of service. Anything else you put into the plate goes towards the operating fund of this congregation. And if this is your first time here, we don't expect you to put anything into the plate except one of those contact cards that is in the pews. If you'd be willing to fill one of those out and let us know how you found us and how we can support you, we would be most grateful. Friends who are online, you can make the same choice. You can select on our website to select the plate for the offering or change for change to make your donations online. We are going now to hear from Anne, and then we'll hear from Janet. So as the plates are passed here in the sanctuary, the offering will be gratefully received. Take it away, Anne.
Breathe and you know that you are alive. Breathe and you know that all is helping you. Breathe and you know that you are the world. Breathe and you know that the flowers breathe in you. Breathe for yourself and breathe for the world. Breathe in compassion and breathe out the joy. Breathe and you be one with the air that you breathe. Breathe and be one with the rain that flows. Breathe and be one with the earth that you tread. Breathe and be one with the fire that glows. Breathe and you break the thought and birth and death. Breathe and you see impermanence is life. Breathe for your joy to be steady and calm. Breathe for your sorrow to flow away. Breathe to renew every cell in your blood. Breathe to renew the depths of consciousness. Breathe for yourself and breathe for the world. Breathe and all you touch is new and real.
Good morning. I don't need to tell you that we're living through a difficult time. Shortly after the 2026 presidential election, it occurred to me that as a writer, I am a cultural worker, and I started wrapping up my self-care routine to protect my brain. But no matter how we define ourselves, it's important to protect our brains. And taking care of ourselves is more important now than ever. When I started thinking about it, I was surprised at how much of my daily wellness routine protects my brain. This is because the body and the brain are interconnected. Taking a walk helps my brain. I was surprised to learn that strength training, something that I do several times a week, also benefits the brain. Meditation and yoga, which I do regularly, definitely protects the brain. And taking care of our brains are centers of consciousness and compassion, relates directly and indirectly to all 7 core principles of Unitarian Universalism, starting with the first, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Perhaps most of all, adhering to a plant-based diet protects my brain. My partner Barbara and I embarked on a healthy vegan diet adventure nearly 7 years ago, and the results have been amazing. The reason that I started eating healthier was that my acupuncturist recommended it after I had a medical emergency. And my motivation was that I would do almost anything to avoid going back to the hospital. But shortly after going vegan, we both had a consciousness raising about the rights of the animals not to be mistreated and eaten, and about eating in the healthiest way for the planet. When I looked it up, I also want to share with you an exercise that I made up and that I do every day that I call the forgiveness meditation. Forgiveness has become very important to me. When I looked it up, I found that forgiveness benefits physical and mental health. Specifically, Harvard Health states, forgiveness involves replacing ill will toward an offender with goodwill without condoning or forgetting the harm done. By letting go of resentment and grudges, individuals experience reduced anxiety, depression, and hostility, which frees mental space for positive emotions and self-reflection. Holding on to resentment is psychologically harmful as it keeps the mind focused on past lives, creating ongoing emotional suffering. Practicing forgiveness allows people to progress in life, fostering hope, peace, and emotional stability. In other words, forgiveness can set you free. I have also found it important to forgive myself. This could be as simple as forgiving myself for not forgiving others, and it could be as complex as forgiving myself for any acts that have hurt myself as well as others. When I first started what I call my forgiveness meditation, I was doing it as I do now, as part of my yoga practice. It was shortly after the election, and I had so many people to forgive that the list was a bit too long to be manageable. Still, I persisted for months. Eventually, I sure did too. I forgive everybody for everything, in the past, present, and future. And then, because I was studying quantum physics for the novel I was currently reading, I added and on all time dimensions. Then, for good measure, I added and in all lifetimes. Then I added, I forgive myself most of all. This practice didn't come out of nowhere. I've been working on forgiveness for a long time. It's hard to forgive. Sometimes it seems impossible, but it's worth it. I really do feel different after doing this practice for a while. I feel freer, and it feels great. I found that when I have a negative thought about someone or something, it helps to quickly and silently recite this meditation to myself. If you're so inclined, please take a deep breath of me and say silently with me. I forgive everybody for everything and myself, most of all, in the past, present, and future, in all time dimensions, and in all lifetimes. Thank you. I really do believe that we are all connected and that everyone has more common than we know. For starters, we're all descended from rocks, and we're all galactic citizens. It would be nice if everyone knew we were connected, but my point of view is that there is no point in being frustrated about this. It will happen eventually. Meanwhile, I'll be protecting my brain and staying healthy. And being here with you is a big part of that. Namaste.
Invite us to remain seated. We are going to sing hymn number 1009 in the teal hymnal. It's called Meditation on Breathing, and we can do it while staying seated. There are 3 parts to this song. If this is your first time singing it, there's a kind of meditative drone that just says breathe in, breathe out. Then there's a main melody that says when I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. And if you're real fancy and you know the descant part and you want to sing that, go for it. But the rest of us are just going to be on parts A and B. Why don't we just try it a cappella now that we've got the melody for it? Can you try breathe in? Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, down love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Amen. Are you going to stand with me? Okay. So we're going to take one more breath together, you and me. Can we take a big breath? We take a breath at my house whenever we're feeling big emotions, whenever we need to calm down, whenever we need to cry, and we call it getting our body reset, getting our body under control. Sometimes I feel like I need to have my body under control, and sometimes I see people who I feel like they need to have their bodies under control, like maybe they could deal with taking a big breath. Stand up, you want me to hold you? Or are you going to stand there? Come here. Are you going to help me? We're going to tell them this story. Tell me about a complicated man. Muse, tell me how he wandered and was lost when he had wrecked the holy town of Troy, where he went and who he met, the pain he suffered in the storms at sea, and how he worked to save his life and bring his men back home. But he failed to keep them safe, the poor fools. They ate the sun god's cattle, and the god kept them from home. And now, goddess, child of Zeus, tell the old story for our modern times. Find the beginning. Anybody recognize these lines? It's from the introduction to the Odyssey. There's a new movie coming out. You may not have heard about this. And some of the discourse has been by people who could use a deep breath, who could use having their body reset. We have been seeing, amongst other things, part of the culture war coming out around this new movie about the Odyssey, which, to be clear, is a mythological story written by someone who may or may not have been one person more than 2,500 years ago. It's a story that has been written and rewritten and translated and retranslated, and the words that we just use are from Emily Wilson, a woman who has come into her own fair share of misogynistic culture war attacks since her translation came out in 2017. She has been witness to what toxic masculinity looks like when people get behind their phones and their keyboards and they take a look at a story and they think only one-dimensionally about it. These people are often men, but they're not just men. And they see a story and they think that that story represents them. They think that it's their story and that it should only be for them and about them. I saw one post on social media that said, Hollywood thinks we want this and this and this Christopher Nolan film. That's not what we want. We want men being men, war and glory and battle. That's what we want. And one of the responses was, no, that's what you want. But you are not the only person in the world, and people like you, that the lack of nuance, the lack of layers, the lack of emotional depth is such a prime piece of what we now call toxic masculinity. So tell me if you've ever heard some of these phrases. You just need to toughen up. Life is tough. Get a helmet. Forgive, but don't forget. Oftentimes, young boys, especially young boys, but not just young boys, are taught that anger is your only safe emotion. That's the one that you get to feel and that you get to express. Or you get told that even if you express it, you have to tamp it down and never let it out. That nothing else is acceptable. So when people look at the story of the Odyssey, and they only have that one emotion to express, that's what comes out. And they miss not only the message of the story, but also some of the depth that can happen when we look at ourselves as part of this story, and look at ourselves not just through one dimension, but through many dimensions. Because this is what happens when you look through just one dimension. You hear the story of the Odyssey, and you hear that an actress has been cast as the most beautiful woman in the world, Helen of Troy. Her name is Lupita Nyong'o. Connor, can you bring up a photo of her? I think we'd all agree, one of the most beautiful women in the world. But if you only have one dimension to look through, you think Helen of Troy has to be a white woman, and that a black woman cannot be beautiful. And you get so filled with anger and hate that you can't think about anything else. Or you look at the casting of Elliot Page and say, a trans man cannot play a part in my story. That's about men being men and war and glory. Or you look at the story of the Odyssey about a man named Odysseus. Go away, please. Go away, please. A story that is about a man trying to find his way home after having participated in a horrible, horrifying, terrible war where he was responsible for the deaths of so many people. And finding a way back to his home where he has to decide how much he puts the value of the life of his men who he's traveling with, to come home and find that his home is barely recognizable, and then he has to decide what to do about it. That this story is the story of a complicated man, as Emily Wilson's translation says. That it is not a one-dimensional story of what so many white men think is all about glory and battle and men being men. That view and that one-dimensional view is what people often associate with another character from the story, Achilles, the great warrior. Hey. The story of Achilles, if you're not familiar, is the world's greatest warrior, and then he dies very young at the Battle of Troy. Young white men who are full of toxic masculinity love to look at Achilles and say, that's my guy. That's who I want to be. I want to be this great warrior. But what they miss out from the nuance and the emotional depth and the layers of the story, because they're not looking through it with the lens. Hey, you are embarrassing me right now. Please go back to the family section. I'll come talk to you in a second, okay? Thank you. Thank you. Can you take a breath? Thank you. What they look at in the story of Achilles, and what they miss is that Achilles, the greatest warrior on the battlefield at the Battle of Troy in the Iliad, is also coded as gay, as bisexual, as very effeminate, as very, very handsome, and as someone who does not have a fully realized conception of himself, and that's what leads to his death. But if you're only full of anger and rage and you think that the story should be something that centers white men, you miss that part of the story. So what does all this rage about Elliot Page and Lupita Nyong'o, what does this have to do with forgiveness? And forgiving ourselves and each other? Because the story of the Odyssey is also a story about wrestling with forgiveness, about wrestling with the choices that you make in life, about who you choose to value and how you spend your time and what hard decisions we have to make, whether we are sailing home to Ithaca or trying to navigate 2026 with family members who voted differently than us. So what does forgiveness teach us in this story? When the people who sit behind their keyboards and they type these hateful messages towards Elliot Page and Lupita Nyong'o, Christopher Nolan and others, Emily Wilson, that's coming from this one-dimensional emotion of anger. And there is no opportunity, as Janet said, to be filled with anything else. There's no opportunity to be filled with self-reflection or self-love or love for others if your cup is just filled with this toxicity that says, I'm the only thing that's important. Everything should be about me. When the ego is the most important thing. That's something Homer wrote a lot about. The ancient Greeks had a word for it called hubris. This deep pride and sense of self that you are the most important. That you're more important than the gods. That you could defy the gods. That you could defy something bigger than yourself because it was all about you. Ask Odysseus how that turned out. Sent him on a long, painful, twisted journey. Tell me the story of a complicated man. We talked about the fear of the other and the illusion of separateness in our litany today. And that's what I want those people who sit behind their keyboards and share these hateful messages to realize. Janet said it great. Sometimes I wish that they would get the point a little bit more quickly, but maybe we just have to let time do its thing. Because if we dive into the emotional depth of being alive and being human, if we share that with each other by forgiving ourselves for when we get it wrong, when we give in to anger, thank you. When I find myself reacting with frustration, or sometimes hate, remembering that there is no us and them. There is only us. This is Buddhism 101, and it's also Universalism 101. That no one is outside the circle of love, no matter how badly they behave. And sometimes that's very frustrating. So taking care of ourselves, forgiving ourselves and each other, forgiving the other, forgiving them, that's a big ask. And I recognize that's so hard to do. And the caveat, of course, is that does not come with giving up of our safety, right, or our own sense of self. Right? Oftentimes forgiveness is weaponized, especially in very conservative Christian circles, that you have to forgive and forget. And that's not always safe. So it's not what we're saying here. What we're saying is about being safe. That forgiving others, people you know or people you don't know, is a way of getting that stuff out of your system so that you can make room for the things that fill you up, for peace and love and joy and hope and creativity, creation and connection. That when we hold on to grudges and we hold on to anger, right, when we focus our unprocessed feelings on other people, it's actually making us sicker. It's actually making us less healthy, less connected. So the admonition in the service is to take care of yourself, to find ways to process the feelings that come when we read another article about toxic masculinity and how it is hurting people. When we read another article about the ego that can be so centered on the size of monuments and the colors of reflecting pools, it is so easy to get into anger and frustration and hate. So we have to go on this journey to figure out what to do with those feelings and to take care of yourself. Forgive ourselves and each other so that the hubris of thinking that we always have it right, that it's them that are wrong, we know what's up. That can be hurtful too. Tell me the story of a complicated person, a complicated human. Because all of us are those complicated humans, right? Not just them, but all of us. And when we find a way to take a breath, to feel all the emotional complexity of what it is to be alive, and to not just give in to the easy emotions of anger and fear, that's when we start to go on our journey to find our home. Two stories that symbolize this. There's a podcast series and a web series of a sibling pair that is trying to talk to their conservative family members, especially their parents, and trying to convince them and lead them towards realizing that they've been sold lies by their conservative party. And it's been going for like 10 years, right? It's been going for a long time. And just recently, the mother shared an experience of being in the hospital with a father who's in the hospital and meeting one of the nurses who was born in China and who's here on a green card, started on a student visa, applied for a green card, is applying for citizenship. And she's detailing the series of steps that she's complied with at every step of the way and how much money it's cost and how much time it takes while she is caring for the father in the most intimate of settings, right? Changing bedpans and changing bandages and things. Let me kiss him. Thank you. while she's doing that, she's sharing this incredibly hard, arduous journey, her own odyssey, right? And something clicks for the mom, that she sees a real human being showing care and compassion and love and describing this incredible ordeal. And then it clicks that those political ideologies are not just abstract, right? They have real effects on real people. And so the son is kind of amazed. He's like, wait, did it change your mind? And she says, yeah, it did. And it's this light bulb moment, right? That there is hope that transformation can happen for them and for us, right? So as we think about who we are as people and how we live in this world, what it means to forgive ourselves and each other, I've been listening to this song by the band Switchfoot. And it talks about two twins who are in the womb, who are getting ready to be born, and they're talking to each other. And he says, do you think there's life after this? You think there's life after birth? And the other twin says, nah, man, ain't nothing except this. Once we get born, it's all over for us. And I often think about that, how when we are born into this world and taught in this way, especially young boys, but not just young boys, about how we're supposed to be, the kinds of emotions that we're allowed to experience. Come here. Speaking of emotions we're allowed to experience. Jill, it's okay. Maddie, come here. It's okay. Maverick, come here. Because she's just going to scream, come here. Let me hold you. We have to learn that it's okay to be sad. Come here. That it's okay. Sit up here. To be upset. That it's okay to be angry. But it's not okay to get stuck there. Right? Yeah. Can we show everyone how we take a big breath at our house? Yeah. Can you take a big breath? Good. That it's okay to feel those emotions. Sit right there. You can ask me in a second. That it's okay to feel those emotions, but it's not okay to get stuck there. And that once we learn to do that, once we learn to process our emotions and learn to forgive ourselves, that's when we can really start living. Because when we get that stuff out of our body, then we can fill it with the good stuff that Janet talked about. And the best example I've ever seen for how to do that is from our next slide. Who's that, Griffin? That's Bluey. If you don't have kids, you may not know who Bluey is, but if you do have kids, you definitely know who Bluey is. Bluey is an Australian television show that is so emotionally intelligent and incredibly funny. It's great for kids, it's great for parents. And one of the things that they show in Bluey is a scene when the littlest sister, there's two sisters, they're dogs, of course. There's Bluey and Bingo. And the little sister is feeling really, really sad and really, really angry, and she can't figure out what to do with it. And Bluey, the older sister, who's the wise one, comes and says, where is it in your body? Is it here? Or maybe it's here? And she starts and Bingo says, well, what do I do? And she says, well, you take it. And you take it out. And then what do I do with it? Griffin, Matt, can you sit, please? Or come here? You want to practice this? Are you feeling upset? Yeah. Okay, sit for a second. They take their upset, and you take it out. And then Bingo says, well, what do I do with it now? And Bluey says, they happen to be at the beach. She says, throw it into the ocean. This is the process of somatics, if you've heard of this process. But it's investigating where your emotions are living in your body. That when we feel things, that our whole body is connected, right? There's not an illusion of separateness. Thank you. Come stand with me. Come stand with me. That there is not an illusion of separateness. That our whole body is connected. And that our bodies are connected to other people. Maverick, come stand with me. Thank you for picking that Cheerio up. I appreciate that. Just don't put it in your mouth. Come stand with me, both of you. Because you can't stand by yourselves. Now, please. 5, 4, 3, 2. Griffin. Come stand. Yeah. Yeah, hold my hand. No, we have to finish our story real quick. What are we going to do with it? When you find where that emotion lives in your body, can we find it and pull it out and then throw it away so that we can make room for the stuff that fills our cups? So for us, friends, may we forgive ourselves and each other, not so that we can just forget about what they do. Can we forgive ourselves and each other in hopes of transformation for us, for all of us, as we all go on our long odyssey to find our way home? Amen? We were going to do a practice of somatics, but what I'm instead going to do is invite you to Google Bluey somatics and watch the little clip of the video about where they find their emotions and they pull it out and they breathe and then they throw it away and then they feel better. And then I'm going to invite you to practice it on your own in the safety of your home where no one can see you and just see how it makes you feel. Sound good? All right, beloveds, let's take one more breath together. Would you breathe in and breathe out? We breathe in peace. We breathe out love. As we get ready to extinguish our chalice this morning, we are going to have our Lemonade Lull coffee hour. It's going to be over in Hale Lounge. If you weren't here last week, you didn't hear the news, we are renovating Fellowship Hall. So the bathrooms downstairs and downstairs are going to be starting work on this week. So they're not going to be available for us for the next few weeks. We're hoping for Labor Day that it'll be done, but keep an eye on the newsletter. So we'll have bathrooms over here and coffee hour over here for the next few weeks. And I believe this is the last week that the bathrooms downstairs will be available. So if you come back next week and you need a restroom during the service, it's going to be out these doors. All right? Friends who are online, please let me know if you need anything from me. I'm here for another week before I go on vacation in August, and I would love to hear from you. And you heard about Terry Williams' evidentiary hearings that's starting this week. So if you're interested in coming to that or hearing more about it, Bruce, can you wave your hand? Dr. Bruce, please. Thank you, beloveds. The words to extinguish our chalice are from Reverend Elizabeth Sell Jones. I'm going to put these two to work because they need it. Would you read these words with me as we extinguish our chalice? We extinguish this flame. Not the light of truth. Would you rise in body or in spirit? We're going to sing the same hymn we started with, Finding the Beginning. Tell me the story of a complicated human. We're going to sing hymn number 1037, We Forgive Ourselves and Each Other. So again, same drill. We're going to sing it once. I'm going to say some things. We're going to sing it. I've got 3 things to say. We're going to sing the refrain each time. And take it away. Put your hand on your heart if you can. For each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible, for each time that we have struck out in anger without just cause, for each time that our greed has blinded us to the needs of others. For remaining silent when a single voice would have made a difference, for the selfishness which sets us apart and alone, for losing sight of our unity. For those and for so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled the illusion of separateness, we remember that. Thank you, beloveds. Hear these words. We forgive ourselves and each other. We remember the promise of transformation that is open to us. And we go out into the world breathing in peace and breathing out love for that transformation. May it be so. Amen. Thank you, beloveds. Have a great week.